Alrighty, good morning, good morning. Thursday, just a couple more days before the weekend. I'm sure everyone's looking forward to it. Let me put my tweet out. That is done. Okay, so yesterday we did house tours, NA side, a couple of really nice examples of what is possible in WildStar Housing. So if you missed out on that, I hope you go back and check it out on our YouTube channel. Today we're going to pick up kind of where we left off with the CBDC challenge for this month, which is romance, and anyone who participates will be giving a copy of this little cottage here without all the extra fluffies that go with it. It's basically just the house structure itself. It doesn't have any glass or anything like that. It's just the base. Good morning, Aurora and Bones. Glad you guys could join. Now, I just found out that we've got another person going to participate this month. Already started work. Aurora was nice enough to pass along the code to Maddie, so Maddie's getting in on it too. But Maddie had a specific question about how we can treat the cottage. Hey, Faye, good morning. So I thought I'd cover that question here just for everyone that is actively working on this project. Just to clarify, one of the stipulations to the challenge is that you leave the set that you're given for the cottage as is. You're allowed to add things to it, like decorations and any extra like little additions that you want to make. You're allowed to add in, if you don't want windows on any particular spot that I've already left the holes for, you can fill that up with other books to block it in if you want. Or other pieces of materials if you want to just add shutters or something and completely close it off. That's up to you. I think Aurora was the one that asked if this particular window here could be turned into a doorway. And when I gave her the set, she was able to pass through it comfortably with no problems of collision. So I'm sure that's what has happened. But Maddie's question was, are participants allowed to cover most or all of the exterior with other materials other than the books? I think the idea is, the way I've left it, it looks the same both outside and in. It's the dark brown of the book. But say maybe you want to like have it look like the interior has been wallpapered as opposed to what it looks like on the outside. Maybe you want to just use a different color book or a different like wall pieces or whatever it is you decide to use. So Maddie asked if participants were allowed to cover up what's there as long as nothing's technically removed. That is acceptable. So say you like the dark brown of the books for the exterior, but you want to make it look different on the interior. You could find a way, however you want to do it, and just, let's see, say you want a wooden interior instead of that brown book. You want brown wood panels. If you want, just cover up what you would like to cover up. That's perfectly okay. How you decide to do that, if it's going to be like little individual floor pieces or maybe pillows if you want to make a plushy looking house to make it look all cute and cuddly, that's up to you. Hey Poi, good morning. So it's not that you can't cover up what's there if you don't like the coloring or the look of it. That's perfectly fine. I would say I wouldn't go as far as to say be tempted to like cover both sides, because then there may be some thinking that maybe you just got rid of it entirely. kind of leave it at least visible in some way that you didn't alter the house itself um, too much in the way that you completely lose everything that's there. I guess I say that, and then it seems kind of unfair to say, well, you have to leave either the interior or the exterior the same. But then someone maybe decides to add just maybe they like the pillars and they want to add another pillar here and another pillar here and that kind of thing. And that's technically kind of blocking it both in and out. But I don't know. I think it's as long as you stay kind of true to the shape of the house and everything, I think that's acceptable. You could, I suppose, if you don't like the wooden roof, for example, maybe get a different type of curved wall to lay on top of it, but like leave the one that's already there. Because again, I'm trying to keep everybody on kind of a level playing field where you have to, I mean, consider it like a prefab home that you can't remove any of the pieces that come on a prefab home. You just have to learn to build around it or over it or whatever. So yeah, it's one of those things. Use your best judgment. I'm not going to be too harsh about if someone actually does cover both the interior and the exterior. Maybe the brown books are just pretty ugly. It's not very light and I guess I don't know what to call it. Maybe romantic looking. It's kind of a bothersome bit anyway. As far as the color, it's a little somber looking maybe for some, and they want it to be a little bit brighter looking or whatever. And obviously it would be rather expensive to color shift it all just to make it look different. It would be probably cheaper to cover it with something else that's more readily available. So I can understand that because there's quite a bit of books being used for the walls. So I'll be pretty lenient on that. Just leave what's there and then cover it however you wish, I guess. It's probably the best way to go about it. Oh, were you talking about the little bird painting? I still am not quite happy with it. I think I should fill in the tree a little more, make it look a little more solid. But yeah, it kind of brightens up the room a little bit. Um, so we'll see. But since we were working on that last time, I'm going to go ahead and do some more exterior stuff. We did a little bit of dabbling in the garden over here. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with it. If I'm going to actually make like a little vegetable garden to the side, or if I'm going to add some more elements like this. So I figured we'd switch gears and go to this little corner here. Say corner, it's not really a corner, this little section, and see what we can put together. I thought about making a custom tree. I've done several of those in the past using different flowers that we have. Like for example, in the plant. For example, I've used the weeping cup flowers. Now, not these specific. I use the ones that you get from the renowned vendor, the cluster, I think it's what it's called, or something. I use that to make a white tree. For the base of the tree, I used white picket fence posts. Posts. There we go. I can't talk this morning. I think it's because I still need some more sleep. Um, Made like little poofy, almost like a dandelion kind of look to it. It was like white, little fluffy balls of flowers on this white fence post tree base. I don't think the plot's actually open anymore. It was a former guildmate of mine that I did it for, and I don't think they opened their plot up to the public before they left the game. I haven't seen them in game for a long, long time, but I did one of those. I've used the violet star flowers. Both is kind of like we call it blue rain, even though it's more purple to me, but uh, like a, what is it called, wisteria, I think. It almost looks like bunches of grapes. It's like a vine, and then you did that on the Valentine plot. But for the tree, I did one on the theater plot by using the dry logs as the base. I just put a bunch of those together to make the trunk and the limbs. And then I used like tons of those star flowers to make like little streamers. It almost reminded me of like the mossy trees that you see, like um, not exactly like a weeping willow, but kind of. Just I made one streamer. It was like, I don't know, 30 or 40 flowers all together, and then I just copied that streamer and changed the size here and there and made it look kind of funky. I've made trees out of the drooping gorge fruit. Um, there's the overgrowth is real good for tree bits. I use that with like some of the hanging marauder berries to make it look like some kind of a weird fruit tree. What other kind of trees? I know I've made several others, but typically I start with like the flowers. I'm thinking about the color, like with the cherry blossom trees on the Asian plot, using the tall finger flowers for those. Um, so I've been looking through the flowers to see if there's any that kind of stand out as something I haven't used yet that I think I might like to. Um, these are fun. I think these would be better for like some kind of if we're going to do like a line of bushes instead of red roses, maybe use these to make some like kind of like white roses. Um, and of course, I don't have the luxury of, well, I could, but I don't want to go back to town to craft a bunch of stuff. But the teal flowers are really good for that too. I like using them for like ivy type stuff though. So I'm looking to see, I was thinking about using these, but I'm not sure. I'm going to put that down just in case. And looking for cheap, something cheap and readily available here. Let me go to the, what is it? Bushes, I guess. I'll try that too. Yes. And maybe that as well. I really don't have any idea what kind of tree it's going to end up being, so I'm just going to experiment. So, oh, a purple one might be okay too. Let's try that one as well. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna let me see if I can find a nice tree shape. Probably my favorite is like the alga rock one. It has the most interesting shape to me, but I think that one's a craftable if I remember right. You don't have to make your own trees, obviously. There's plenty of options if you just want to go with the standard, but I like trying to uh, make my own just for the fun of it. or my own torture kind of thing. Yeah, I think the best ones, if you're going to do your a custom, um, find something that would work as a tree trunk kind of thing. So some of my favorites are the dry log. That's a good one. It does get problematic when you're trying to, like, if you're using a big one as the base and then you're adding the smaller ones as the limbs. They don't match up perfectly, but if you kind of put it together and then as you add the foliage on the tree, it works pretty good. I mean, you can find ways of covering it up. Another good one is the individual thorny logs. Those work pretty good. I haven't actually tried this other than in a painting, and that's mostly because of the way the roots are here. They look a little weird when you stand it up. It looks a little odd, but someone could probably find a way to do that too. This one here is probably my fave. It's got a nice shape and not too much greenery so that you could probably easily cover it up. The tree stump is also another fave. And the this here, turn it upside down. It looks a little funny because it's heavier on the top when you turn it, but it's still workable, in my opinion. Probably any of the horror trees from Shade Z would work as good bases for a custom tree that you need to add foliage to. It's just I don't tend to mention these too often or use them too often because not everybody has access to them, since they're kind of a limited time deal. I've used pillars and the mop handle. The withered trees are pretty good. The only thing about some of the trees is obviously a lot of them move. So if you've got like the base and it's moving, but the top part that you add to it doesn't, it looks a little odd. So try to find ones that don't move too much. Yeah, it's really just depends. So I'm gonna see if I can use this as a base, some kind. Yeah, the tall finger flowers are great for like cherry blossom trees, that kind of thing. It's really good. I don't know. I think the first time I did the cherry blossom trees was with the Asian plot. In fact, I guess I could show that since I'm talking about it, and for those that haven't actually visited, let's see if I can remember the name. Was it Lily? I think. Mine just used the tall finger flower, so I didn't use a different kind of base. I just used one big one for the base of it, and then I tacked on a bunch of little ones. I think it was like 20 something plants all together for the little blossom trees, and then I snuck in some on, tucked them down into the ground, trying to make it look like it's petals that have fallen. Of course, it looks a little weird because, again, they move a little bit, so it's not maybe the exact right effect, but that was the idea behind it. I also used it on the Valentine plot. That might be where I used it first, for the picnic area. Let's see, where's the other tree? There's, I think it's parsnips. Nope, that's not it. Let me think. Let me see if any of them are coming up on the plot finder, because I sure don't remember the names. Just the ones I visited. Okay. Just do some random hopping here. Yeah, here's the one that uses the purple flowers. You can see how many plants are in a single strand, and then I just copied it over, and then I made a little clumpy, and then I copied that, and again I changed the sizes, and I rotated it here and there using the dry logs for those. Same thing here, it's just a replica of it, a little bit bigger. You can see it doesn't really match up perfectly, but you know, it's different. Nobody else's trees look like that for sure. They probably don't want them to look like that, but that's what they look like, or how they turned out. You could probably add more. I was tempted to add an extra limb because I don't particularly like the even numbers. There's like 4 clumps, but I don't know. I just left it because it started getting so crowded and item intensive. Because like I said, one strand is like 20 or 30 plants. So then if you have 5 or 6 strands per clump, that adds up really fast. Let's see, the other one I think was celery's plot. Yeah, there's the ones that I did for the orchard. These are the gorge fruit trees. Just look really spindly and everything. And then there was another one over here with the fruit on it, using the overgrowth for the tree. This one, you can see I used one of the thorny logs as the base, and then I just kept clumping it up. I don't even think I bothered putting smaller thorny logs for branches, which you could if you wanted to get that a lot. I just used the cover of the overgrowth as kind of to hide it. I don't know if any of you are familiar with any of like the old McDonald's playgrounds where they had that funny tree that people would usually like get their head stuck in, the little hole that's in it. But that's what this was kind of inspired by, which is kind of an odd thing to say, but that's what I was thinking of when I put it together. But so yeah, I'm sure I've got a few other examples, but that's some of the ones I mentioned. So this time we're going to use, I'm going to go with purple and see if we can make something interesting looking. It's probably going to be similar to that one we just saw, just because of the shape of the overhanging or whatever it's called. What is that called? Yeah, overgrowth, the strain version. So I'm using the Osun wood snag. I've not actually used this in anything. I've seen a few people use it in like aquarium settings because it looks kind of corally, which is a great look. A lot of people like it for spooky plots because it's all creepy and curly, and it kind of looks like claws all munched together. And of course it looks kind of dead because there's no greenery on it. Whoops. But I'm going to try and use it as a base of a tree here. And decide if I don't think that'll look right. So we'll just leave that. So I'm going to start. And see how this looks how many pieces I'm going to need for like a round. And I'm going to go with the shape of it. Use that as a way of guiding me as far as the placement of these little clumps. Trying to decide, do I want it to just be kind of flat like that, or do I want to turn it so that it's a little goofier? Let's see, I think we'll do it this way. Leave it like so. And let's see. Do I already have a tree? Doesn't look like it. So add a new one. Maybe make this a little bit bigger. Let's see. Yeah, I'm already starting to make it more complicated because I'm kind of filling in the sides here as well, which I probably shouldn't do, but it bothers me. It looks like a little gappy there. That'll be like 2 gold per clump. Yeah, I like that better. So let's add this in. Create that one. Still haven't updated my copy. Shame on me. I don't know, I keep getting sidetracked with so many other things. Like once I log off, it's out the window. Let me make that small again. just kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of following the branches, but not. It's hard to explain. I'm just putting it where it feels all right. I don't know. I guess it's one of those things you just got to play around with till you get something that you like, because there's like no special rules you have to follow. Let's see. I think add another little clumpy. Probably overkill on this, but I feel like it's missing something. There we go. That looks a little better. And here too. So it's like a 3-tier kind of thing. This needs to move. Shrink that a little bit. There we go. Kind of like that. That's showing a little bit, but I don't think it's too bad. Now, you can see that some of the overgrowth, like its green counterpart, is actually, you can pass through it. But if you notice, every now and then I'll get knocked or stuck, and that's because parts of it are actually solid. So if you want to avoid having it knock into that, either enlarge it so that the character can go all the way underneath, or just make it small enough um, so that that doesn't matter. You'll knock into the tree anyway. So let me link all this up together here. Get everything selected properly. I'm not even sure what parts is linked or not. Yeah. Okay, so missing 2 clumps, like. I think it was this one. So either pick it up really big, like so, have this really huge tree, or downsize it a lot. I think I like it about that size. I feel like I need to add something over here when I get too carried away with it. It's already on an expensive side anyway. And then it's just a matter of placing the tree where you want. So if we're going to do the same with any of these, ouch, my foot's falling asleep. You could do the same. We have the weeping willow tree, but if you don't like the look of it, you want something, again, just different color, different texture, the overgrowths work wonderfully with that. So let's grab let's grab a brown one. Just going to experiment with different trees today, I think. Maybe I'll use them all, maybe I won't. But again, decide how you want the clumpy to look. So this one's a little bit more like for the strain overgrowth, you could see how it's pretty much the same. It's got a long side and a short side. So if you want that long drapey part to be visible all around, then you have to use multiples to get that across. But it's harder to do because it's a rectangle shape, so it feels a little funny anyway. Let's do it like that this time. Almost like a cross pattern. So it's going to have a long side and a short side, and hopefully by crossing them like this, it'll look like it's kind of droopy all over with like a little poofy top. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I'm trying to get away with just using fewer pieces than the 4 for a clump. I'm going to try and get away with just 2. So I'm going to link that up, and we're going to put that right on the tippy top. Now see how I can get away with going a bit above the top of the tree trunk, because the mossy part is kind of covering it up. Notice how that's only true depending on how you look at it. Over here it looks uncovered, over here it's covered. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place that. Let's see. Grab the set. Back to the tree. I'm going to size that up. Like so. I'm going to do that again. Now, don't you start with me. My husband's always making fun of the terms I use. I forget what was, there was one yesterday. I said something and he goes, "What did you say?" And he's promising to make a character out of it. It's kitty-fied, I guess. I kind of mince my words a lot. I don't know. So this is a different kind of tree. I mean, you could probably arrange it differently if you are desperate to have actual branches coming off of the main one, but this is what we're going to do like this. Tippy Top. If one of you come up with a character named Tippy Top, I'm going to be upset. Okay, so I'm going to use the Tippy Top as the parent this time. Let's see. I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to anyway. There's another kind of a quick tree. But like say if you want like some of them little clumps here and here, you probably make up something that looks a little bit more like that algar oak tree as well. Yeah, I've filled up all of mine too. Saw somebody that had like 38 alts or something. I guess they got in on all those server mergers. Yeah, my husband says the same thing. My mom's that way too. She makes up. She's the one that got me to sing squaz because she honestly thought it was the past tense of squeeze. Squeeze, squeeze, squaz. Squeeze, squaz, squaz. I think is how she would say it. But it took her coworkers to convince her and prove to her that that wasn't an actual word, but we use it in our house. I squeezed the tube of toothpaste there. But usually when those words come out, if I'm making up my own, it's usually either I can't think of the right term or I blend words together. I'll be thinking of two words and I'll mush them and it comes out something else. Cracks my husband up tremendously. Let's see. Can I make a tree out of that? That's going to be tough. This, I think we would want to do it upside down. Like maybe using this base again. And then having this as like little dangly bits. And just almost like a very strange like weeping willow kind of thing going. But again, you can kind of see how I do try to follow the shape of the tree a little bit, but not. Oh, seriously? Well, I do that sometimes, but it's mostly just I forget the words, which is unusual for me to forget the English and know the Flemish version of it, but sometimes I do. So I'll talk. Sometimes I'll use both just interchangeably and my husband and son constantly tell me don't combine the two, but I don't know. I just sometimes it seems to work for me that way because I can't think of all the words in Flemish and sometimes I forget the words in English, so I just kind of blend it together. So I'll like have a full sentence and like half of it is one language and half of it's the other, but I'm using it all together. I'm sure it confuses people listening to me, but it makes sense in my head, so yeah, why not? But I've lived here in Belgium for like I guess this would be 16 years now, and it's embarrassing because people like, oh, you're not from around here, how long you've lived here, and then they look at me like, and you don't speak it yet, it's not that I haven't taken classes. I took the classes and passed those, miraculously. But I'm just not in a situation where I am forced to speak Flemish on a regular basis. Because usually, as soon as I start trying to, they'll realize it's not my native tongue, and they'll everybody switches to English around here. So they spoil you by just adapting themselves to your language, and then again, I'm not forced to it. I think if I worked or I had gone to school here, it would be a different story. Double Dutch. Well, I know Double Dutch. Isn't that the jumping rope thing where they use two ropes? I think that's what it is. The actual Double Dutch. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I know enough of it to understand a good portion when people are talking, if they're not talking too fast or using too much slang. But uh, for me, I still think in English. So I'm thinking in English, I'm translating it to Flemish, and then I try to say the Flemish. So I usually end up sounding like Yoda because it comes out in the wrong order, and I'm not very good with the tenses and everything. And of course, if you're trying to translate it in your head, but holding a conversation with someone, usually it's like I'm still hooked on trying to translate a particular phrase and the conversation's moved on to something else. It's real hard to feel comfortable. As long as I've been here, I can watch the news. I've watched shows and stuff in it. Um, I can kind of follow along with most conversations. Sometimes there's a word or here and there that I don't quite understand, and I just kind of get the gist of what's being talked about. But to actually just fluently engage, no, I'm like totally not there ever. I'm one of those old dogs that you can't teach the new tricks to. It's my time has gone. Thankfully, when we moved over here, my son was young enough that he was still kind of in his spongy state, and he was able to pick it up far easier than I was. But also because he went to school and had to use it. So let's grab one of these, I think. Move. That's like way off. I was aiming for this and it's way over here. What in the world? My depth perception in game is awful. There's another creepy, weird little purple plant. Yeah, exactly, points. I don't know what it is exactly. I don't know if they're just more open to it. Uh, they haven't developed the bad habit of just kind of observe. But my son, he was always worried that he was going to forget English. So again, that was another issue. At home, a lot of bilingual families will have one particular language that's like the dominant one. And by rights, it should be Flemish here for us because that's the main language spoken where we live. But we tend to focus more on English, not just for my sake, but because my son was totally obsessed with, he was going to forget English and he didn't want to forget English. So whenever he's around me, he makes a point to speak English so that we keep his vocabulary up. So it's weird, like at the dinner table, if he's talking to my husband, um, they speak Flemish to each other, but when they turn to me, it switches back to English. So it's I don't know, it's strange. All right, Aurora, we'll see you later. And hey, Link, glad you could join. Kind of got us in a weird conversation. It has nothing to do with housing. We're just talking about languages, but there you go. Okay, let's see if we can make a flower ball out of this. Let's see, I'm gonna go 180 on this first, I guess. Wait, let's do this first. Let me get this straight. Easier for me to kind of keep track. We're gonna 180 it and push it up in there. Thank you. Thank you, Link. It's just something playing around. It's part of our challenge this month. Um, I've been giving out the code to those that want to join in, and they're invited to decorate it however they would like to decorate it. I think we got like 5 participants now, which should be pretty interesting. Should have like 5 interpretations. I don't know if this is working out right or not. Well, the challenge is basically I give you the set of the house. That doesn't include any of these little extras that I've added in myself, the flower uh, pots and all, the doors, the glass, all of the interior is not included. It's just the base walls, the floor, the roofing, and the little porch here. Um, and your job or a participant's job is to decorate it however they wish. It doesn't have to be an actual little house. You can turn it into a garden shed if you want, a tea house, just whatever you feel like, and decorate it up. The theme is romance, so that's why you see a lot of hearts and kind of girly stuff because it's supposed to be themed around for Valentine's Day. Um, but we tend to kind of give folks a lot of freedom when it comes to these challenges. So if you want to just decorate the house and call it good, that's welcome. Some have decided to decorate their entire plot around this particular little thing. And so this is what I've done is I've tried to give an example of like how you could make a little tiered area for your house, like putting it on this little hill, or and just kind of going over some ideas of what you might could add. So we've like done like little garden features like the little wishing well potted plants. We did some little plants over here. Just talking about different things you can use, how we use trees as bushes instead of just as trees, that kind of thing. So today we're just experimenting with different kinds of custom trees. There are lots of pretty trees already in game, but sometimes it gets kind of, you just have that itch to build your own. So I'm trying to give some examples. I'm not really liking the little daisy clump here, but I'm going to keep at it and see if I can fashion something that will work. But the showcase that we're going to be hosting for this month's challenge is on the 28th of this month. So you still have, let's see, just over a week. If anyone wants to participate, you just need to contact me. It's probably best to reach out to me via the official forums because the code that I would have to send you is quite long. So I can't send it like via Twitter DM. I'd have to send it in like 3 chunks, I think, because it's such a long code. But it's like 231 pieces, I think, in total for the little base cottage. And then, you do with it what you want as far as, I've added the little mailbox and stuff, but that's not necessary. You can do just about anything. I decided to do like a little living room kind of thing. It doesn't have a kitchen, no bathroom, nothing like that. If you want to add a structure that looks similar to the cottage that behaves as like a little outhouse or something, that's perfectly fine. We've talked about adding like gazebos or bridges or little picnic area, anything you think would fit the romance theme for your idea, that would work fine. If you want to use this as like a little guest thing, that'd be fine too. Well, that's the thing about housing. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You want to take your time with it. It's just a big investment of time and patience. And depending on the materials you use, maybe it takes you a long time to gather them all up, that kind of deal. So yeah. Okay, I'm not really liking this sunflower looking thing. I think it's just too weird. Or maybe I'm just doing it wrong. Let me see if I can change that up a little. Think I need to, well, what it is I think the stem is so long, I can't really clump it up as nicely as I'd like. Maybe that's what it is. Thanks, I appreciate that link. Really though, probably the best time to visit the stream is on Wednesdays. We just did some house tours of other players' homes. Through the week, it's usually just my junk, which isn't as great as many others. They're the ones that inspire me to build this kind of stuff. So if you're really looking for some outstanding examples, I would say check out our Wednesday house tour videos. Those probably have the best examples. There's lots more variety. Oops. Well, it's starting to kind of look a little bit more like a clump of yellow. Well, I appreciate it, Link. We're just trying to get everybody jazzed up about housing. And this is my way of doing it. Housing isn't for everyone, but if it's something that you really love doing, I think most people consider this probably the best system that's out there. I know there's some other games that have housing. I think there's what is it, Rift, I think is one, and I'm sure there's some others. I've not actually worked with any of those, so I can't say for sure, but I've read some reviews and stuff about some of their systems and everything, and I think um, most agree WildStars is pretty advanced. Okay, I'm probably using way too many flowers here, but there's a weird little clumpy thing. So I'm gonna cheat here and let's see if I can grab one of these. I feel a sneeze coming on. Oh. Yeah, I'm trying to make a flower ball. It's not working out smoothly because the flowers are arranged funny anyway, but we'll see what we're doing here. Maybe it'll be like a little topiary kind of thing. Maybe that's what I need to do. Let's try that. Now we'll just leave it. I don't want to get too caught up in it. um, so first I want to uh, link all of those flowers together. Now, normally, if I use this radius linking tool, it'll pick up anything, but I'm going to tell it just to link only the decor that's the same as the parent. So it should only pick up the yellow flowers and nothing else around it. Fingers crossed if that works. Yeah, there we go. Now all of the yellow flowers are together. Now that only works really well if you don't have any other of that item nearby. Um, so thankfully I haven't used that anywhere else. Plus you can adjust the radius of that linking tool so you can kind of tie it in if you have some things that are close by that are the same, but you can kind of keep it out of the circle. It should be fine. Um, so yeah, now I have the little cluster of yellow here. So I'm going to bring the tool back up and go back to the tree. Now we have a cluster. There's 6 clusters, little flower groups there for that one cluster. Thankfully, that's a relatively cheap vendor cost, so that's not too bad. Okay, so now my job is to pick out a stem, a trunk, or whatever for the tree. Now for this one over here, I use the brown thorny log. I think the green one will work better for the yellow, so try that one. Trying to copy, paste, and then bring that over. I want this one a little smaller. Let's see, 25. A little. Yeah, for the most part, I don't worry too much about the cost. But for beginner players, the cost can be problematic. I mean, especially if you start getting into the ones that cost renown or like a high amount of gold and they're wanting to use that particular piece quite extensively, the cost can be a bit of an issue. That's why I try to tell newer players, not to feel like they have to build a full-on plot um, completely from scratch overnight. It's one of those things that you just got to kind of build up to. I know there's a lot of builders that once they get into it, they just want to build, 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 but not everybody can afford that. Okay, so put one of these clumpies here. Stick that on there. Move out of the way just so I don't get stuck. And let's see, make that one a little bit bigger. Stick that one on top. Something like that. And then I'll add another small branch over here. Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about the color shifting, because the red doesn't always necessarily come out like a deep red. Unfortunately, that's the trouble with the tinting, color shifting. It's more like a tint and not like an actual color. Selecting that thing. Shrink this one down just a little bit. There we go. Now we have a little funny looking tree thingy. Let me see. I think I'm going to switch that. Probably should add a third one. There we go. That looks better. Yeah, if you message it to Poi, Poi can set it up for you. I just have it set up so that we can't have everybody flooding the chat with links. It's more just a precaution thing, nothing personal. Besides, I think Poi likes having the power. Okay, there's like four examples of different kinds of trees, just using different materials. This one's the strain overgrowth. This is the mossy overgrowth. Here we've got those frozen tulips, and then of course the yellow flowers. You know, if you're looking for some more kind of autumn colors, if you don't want to go through the costs of color shifting, there are ways that you can get around that by using like this as your coloring. There's also the wheat grasses would probably work really well. Like the clumps. I think it's in grasses. Yeah, like those would probably make nice tree clumps because they're already kind of overlapped like you need to. And like if you have those in a nice little clump, that would work really good, I think. I've used this one for palm trees before when I made my own. Of course, the brambles definitely work really great. But yeah, this one here would be a good clump. It's nice and poofy. It's the same thing I used for the Doduo Pokemon to make his little fuzzy body. Those would work really interesting for like almost like trimmed autumn trees, little poof balls. I think that would work really good. Yeah, the power. Oh gosh. Um, I doubt I'm going to use any, most of this little furniture that we were doodling with, so I'm going to have to save these up and move them off. I might use the chair for like an outdoor picnic set. Maybe I'll set that up here in the garden area over here. I'll have to decide on that. Don't let it go to your head, boy. I'll have to restrict your moderator tools. No, you've been great on that. You've been really, really good at keeping that going and posting all the video links. I always forget to do that, and you've been really great at reminding me of it. Okay, so I think that's going to be it for today. I hope it gave you some ideas, even if you're not doing the challenge and you're just looking for some interesting trees or something. These might not be practical to like make an entire forest made out of them, but if you're looking for, a handful or one or two interesting trees to throw in as like a focal point to a garden or uh, like, I don't know, some special shrine or something. Um, these are some examples of how you can create your own just using the things at hand. Now, again, if you get into the color shifting and you don't find that too expensive, this can be taken even farther. Maybe you want one that looks like candy floss or cotton candy. You want this more pink than purple, or you turn it green so that it looks more like the weeping willow tree that we have. Maybe you want one a little more wintry looking. I don't know if black and white would make that look snowy kind of or not, but that would just be something you'd have to try out. Let's see how that looks, just for giggles. Yeah, see, it doesn't quite look like snow. It just looks like, it looks very drabby. But like if you want to turn it pink, more pink, it looks almost like bubble gum. That's pretty gross looking. Maybe you want a bright blue one, or like, I don't know. Again, it just probably just depends on what you're using it for, that kind of thing. Like these, I don't think they will shift very good. Oh, Like you shift it red and it looks more pink to me. You can barely can tell there's any difference between the pink and the red. That's what I mean by you can't really get a true red. But anyway, who's Dr. Horrible? Mine's the, have you ever seen, uh, what is it, Rango? The one with the, it's, I think it's a chameleon or something that goes into the desert. It's like Johnny Depp voices him. I've got his little, where he's practicing for his acting or something. It's like the crunchy, creamy cookie candy cupcake or something. That's my ringtone, or the incoming text sound. The ringtone for my son, his is Stewie going, Mom, Mama, Mom, Mommy. So that's pretty funny. I'll have to look that up. I've never heard of that. Anyway, I think we will call it good for today, guys. I hope you had fun. Again, I definitely hope it gave you some ideas, some things to kind of consider, experiment, try it your own way, clumping these together. Like I said, try to give some different examples of what to use for trunks, what to use for the actual foliage on the trees, and I'm sure you guys can come up with some much more fantastic versions of your own. But yeah, again, we'll be here tomorrow. I have no idea what, I don't have anything specific planned, but it'll be something to do with decorating for this particular plot. And of course, if these little side projects don't really interest you, definitely join us for Wednesday house tours. We're going to Jabot next week since we visited Entity this week. And of course, the 28th is the CBDC showcase. So we get to see what everyone did with their little cottage as opposed to the mess I've got going here. And of course, if this month's challenge doesn't really interest you, or you don't have the space for it, or you just have trouble coming up with some ideas for it, be sure and check out the next month because we put up a new theme every month. It's usually around the first part of the month that we set that up, and you have the whole month to work on it, and then we do the showcase at the end of the month. So, you know, it's again, it's just for funsies. We don't do prizes or judging or anything like that. It's just something extra to keep me entertained, and hopefully it entertains you guys at times. So yeah, I'm here just about every weekday link, starting around 8 a.m. CET time. I know it's not ideal timing for everybody, but I send all of these videos to YouTube, so if you miss any and you want to catch up on them, we've got like hundreds, literally hundreds of videos that you can check out. So if you've got some spare time and got nothing else better to do, you're welcome to look at those. I do have them separated in playlists, so if you're only interested in the house tours, you can find those in their own playlist. We've got the CBDC ones separated out. I think there's a couple of demos, not too many, but just a handful, to using how we work with the tools that we have for like the add-ons and stuff. But yeah, welcome to join us if you can. And if you can't, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend if we don't see you tomorrow. In the meantime, good luck with your own projects. Have fun with the cottage if you've decided to join in on that. Again, there's still plenty of time to do that. You've got like about a week and a half, I think, left. Depending on your hours and stuff, you might be able to squeeze in some. My YouTube link is right there on the Twitch channel page. You can find that in the resources section. It's one of the top links there. That or Poi can probably link it for you. But yeah, it's pretty much just covers everything. So there's like hours and hours and hours of me jibber jabbering away. But hopefully um, you find something that's helpful for you. And of course, if you ever have any questions, even if we've answered it before, don't be hesitant in asking, because that's what we're here for, is to kind of help inspire each other, encourage each other, answer questions, give advice. We even help brainstorm if you're looking for a particular theme and you kind of run out of ideas. We're happy to help try and spur some new ones for you, that kind of thing. So yeah, we welcome it all. As long as it has to do with housing, we're encouraging it to the max. So okay, thanks guys for joining us, and hope you have a great day. And I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.